It's the summer of surrender, so stay tuned to the very end of our episode to hear a testimony that puts what we learned today in action. We can't wait to hear how it inspires your faith.
Hey friends, we are back. We're having such a good time with the series, and these next two are related. They're almost like two sides of the same coin. So today we're going to talk about surrendering your parenthood. And this one is a big one because we ourselves are a product of our own life experiences, our own wounds, our own justification, our own virtues and vices, all those things. We are a product of our environment and our spiritual reality, and our children reflect that. But our children are also here to sanctify us, not the other way around. I remember the first time I heard that from the Messy Family podcast, and I was like, oh, crap.
Oops.
I really thought I was here to work on them and produce the perfect children. Oh, yes. Oops, indeed. So thinking about that, we're going to focus on us as parents and surrendering all of the things that we have encountered in life to God so that we can be transformed into better parents who are raising saints for the kingdom. And the next episode will be tackling surrendering your children, which is the opposite side of the coin, and talking about your individual gifts, treasures that are your children themselves and how to surrender them. And again, if you are not a parent, if you are not a child, we still encourage you to listen to this episode because you can be a spiritual parent and you can be a spiritual child, even if it's not like you're raising a toddler, because you can be an adult and internally be a spiritual toddler. Yeah. So stick with us.
It's funny how hearing things that don't necessarily directly apply to your life give you clues into, like, maybe something we say will bring up something from childhood that you need to work through, or it will explain some things or what have you.
Yes, or a way to pray for your own parents, or to prepare you for your own parenthood if that is what you're looking forward to. So stick with us. Don't jump off just because we're talking about parenthood. It's going to be a good episode and a wild ride as per usual.
We invite you to the Summer of Surrender. I feel like our hands have just, like, this is our thing now.
It's cute. It's cute. We both did choir. It's fine.
Jazz hands.
Actually, that was the worst part for me. I really hated jazz hands.
I know.
It was the worst.
Maybe that's our next podcast merch. Ugh, jazz hands.
Maybe we can start going like Summer of Surrender. I don't know.
Hey. That felt too much like the Wiggles.
Oh no. Oh, no way. Anyway,
we'll figure it out.
We're still on a better roll than the Friendship Onion from 2 episodes ago.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. The Friendship Onion got a little unhinged. But
it did.
Being a parent is no joke. Yeah. This may be the way God has chosen your path for sainthood. And again, you are not here to control your kids. You're not here to live vicariously through them. And you are not here to create a product. I mean, if you think about it, as parents, we're like, we're here to produce functional adults and produce good members of society. But we tend to do that through external factors. We look at the culture, we look at what our family's done for generations, maybe. We look at so many different things, but the kids who made it and did well are those whose souls were properly surrendered and properly raised. But before we can even do that, we have to be willing to do the work ourselves. And that is...
Ouchie.
Because we don't think about that. We think, if you ever heard this from your own parents or, older siblings even, when you're an adult, you can do what you want. When you're an adult, you can make the rules. You can do this thing.
That was the exciting thing about turning 18. It's like, I can do almost everything.
Almost.
There was limitations.
Yes, no alcohol. But
probably wise.
Yes, probably would be wise. But that's what you were told. And then you step out into the world like, oh, great, I get to choose. And you get hit with this freight train that is adult responsibility.
And it is a freight train.
It is a freight train.
That is an excellent analogy.
And it doesn't matter.
Because dang.
Yes, well, and it doesn't, you could be off in college, you could be having your first kid, you could be anywhere, you could be moving into your first apartment, getting your first big kid job. Whatever the case is, it still hits you like a freight train.
Yeah.
And says, hey, I'm here, let's go. And you're not prepared. There is a part of you that's not prepared because no parent is perfect. No parent can perfectly prepare you for what's to come. But if you are taught to rely on God and allow him to work and also recognize when your own sanctification is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ask God for something and suddenly you find yourself in a hard time and you're like, I asked for this end result. Where is it? God's probably saying, well, in order to do that, you have to be refined out of this attachment. You have to be refined out of this, reservation you have with me.
Spiritual hindsight is a beautiful thing.
So lovely.
Because it's not until
also pain in the butt.
Out, yeah. It's frustrating when you're in that season, but then once you're out of it, you're like, oh, I get it. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have gotten it any other way.
100%. I am a huge fan of, the Lord calls us to be childlike, right? And I don't mean, throw temper tantrums all day and get what you want. Would be nice. But to be childlike means to be receptive and to be fully reliant upon someone who's greater than you. Mm-hmm. When you're a child, you are fully reliant upon your parent. You have to trust them completely. Yeah. In order to, have a fruitful childhood, you have to trust them completely. You have to be fully reliant upon them to fulfill your needs. And there has to be this trust, willingness, and vulnerability. Like, it is very much the cycle of surrender to be childlike and receptive. And that's when Christ talks about that in the Gospels. Children are like that. They're much more willing to receive something that seems like a stretch because they don't have cultural, societal pressures pushing on them to be like, oh, that's dumb, or that doesn't happen anymore, or why would you do that? Like, they don't have those outside opinions. They have this very deep desire for truth and for boundaries and for healthy things. And to be childlike as a parent is to recognize that in your own children and know that, your child gets humbled daily when you're like, A, cut it out, or you have to correct them in front of their friends, or there's a gazillion ways that your child experiences humility. Mm-hmm. We as parents also have to humble ourselves, apologize to our children when we're wrong.
Yeah.
We need to be the example that eats our vegetables, that goes to sleep.
Brayden.
He's not listening.
I will make him listen to that part.
Hey, I'm editing this.
Just listen. Oh my gosh, Brayden, that was so good. You should come hear it.
Dropping some
Join
crazy wisdom over here.
Veggies, good.
We did an expose in the May, June, July?
Yes.
Yes, the May, June, July issue of the magazine about is not eating your veggies a wound, right? Because maybe your parents made you eat those veggies, like really forced them down your throat, and from that moment you're like, I hate green beans. I will never eat them again. Like, you made that inner vow and it's affected you since. It sounds silly, but we do that.
Well, okay, so when she threw out that article title, I was like, I think it's a little stretchy there. Yeah. I don't know if that's... But I let her run with it. Who am I to veto? And,
who am I to veto? So, I don't know, you're
But then I read it and I was like, wow, you're not wrong. It was a good article.
Thank you. The human body is so susceptible to suggestion, and it is by nature nostalgic, right? So, you smell a certain thing, it takes you to a certain memory. If I listen to a certain song, it takes me to a certain point in my life.
Yeah.
And same with food, and, most people will call some of these things trauma, and that's not incorrect, but when you're a parent, you have two options. You can be a parent the way God has asked you to be a parent, which includes hard work and eating your veggies sometimes, and, or even, this is a hard one, valuing rest instead of productivity. Well, think about it. If you want your children to rest in the afternoon, I tell my children, you have to start resting before mommy can rest. Because mommies need rest too. Like, that is my time to rejuvenate. Now, for me, rest might be work, writing a Holy Surrender article, cleaning my house, praying in my chair, taking a nap. But I think it's important that my kids see that I nap too.
Yeah.
That I rest too, because God calls us to balance work and rest and give it all to Him so that He can show us when and what we're supposed to do. So you are the adult. You are your kid's first experience of the Holy Trinity, of God. And so you and your relationship with Him either magnifies that or hides that, or even twists that, depending on if you are parenting from God's perspective and allowing yourself to grow and be refined, or if you're parenting from your wounds.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, no parent is the perfect parent. We all heard in my testimony that I've got lots of daddy wounds. And for a long time, I made a lot of vows, even unrealizing that they were vows. I will never treat my kids like this. I will always make sure that fill in the blank, And so I made these vows out of woundedness, with good intentions, right? I wanted to do better than what Gary did to me. But the problem with that thought process and why it's there's a specific term for the vow, anyway, but it's not a good vow.
The inner vow.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but because you are relying on self, not on God, and it's all about control and all about, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the one to make sure. And that's how I did my parenthood for the first... Well, thankfully, Joanna was an easy toddler. But when I had Sam, he rocked my world because he was not easy from day one. Day two.
You got a good 24 hours.
He was, I got a good... And my amazing sister-in-law, okay... Even labor with Sam was different because my water broke at 10 o'clock at night after I had just been at work all day long. And so I didn't sleep for just over 24 hours. And so after delivering the baby, I was, dead. I was like, nobody talked to me. Nurses can't even touch me. I'll get mad. But my sister-in-law came in. She held Sam for a good 2.5 hours so I could sleep. It was beautiful. They have a special bond. But anyway, where was I going with this?
You were talking about woundedness and parenthood. And
Sam rocked my world.
Yeah.
Sam was my challenge. Still is in some ways. I've learned it's my boys. And I blame Brayden for that. It's fine.
We renounce the spirit of blame.
Alright, fine. But yeah, I that's how I parented for a while, was out of the vows. I will never do this. I will never do that. Or I will do better than whatever. And it did not work. I still had things to clean up. And then I started my inner healing journey, and I realized, oh, this is why it's not working, because I'm not letting God in to do the work. Yeah. So surrendering your parenthood, even though that's not what I knew at the time that I was doing, just giving it to God and letting Him parent through you was massive.
Newsflash. He made your kids. He's known them from the beginning of time. He is your hotline when things get out of hand. And we've talked so many times before about the fact that God doesn't always, just speak in a booming voice or, show up physically in your house. For some of us.
How easy would that be then?
It would be great until you see him and you're like, nope, I'm going to crap my pants.
Discernment, please.
You're so cool. And I'm so not. It It would be too much, I think, for most of us. Yes. Wham! He's like, I would prefer not to break your face. So
he can fix it. He can fix it. And nothing flat.
He could. Oh, goodness. But the point being that if someone suddenly suggests to you, a good parenting resource, or you go on to have really fruitful conversations after you say, Lord, I surrender my parenthood to you, take care of everything. I'm just taking that one prayer and I'm going to insert this specific thing. But it's a good one. Like, it can be something as simple as that. Or it could be a prompt in your head where you're like, oh, this random thought, oh, I should try this. Maybe this will help. And when you start to do it, you see good fruit. Like, those are all ways that God can influence your parenthood and inspire you to surrender it. Because simultaneously, it's not just going to be on the discipline or the eating or the household management part. It's going to be, or on the work part, it's going to be also within your soul where he starts working on, why do you get angry like that?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I've had that lesson before.
Why do you snap? Is it because you realize you have these small beings that are half you that you really can't control? You can inspire, you can influence, you can encourage, you can teach, but you can't control because they have free will.
You can lead a horse to water,
but you can't make them drink. And in parenthood, it's the same thing. And what's funny is I think we say that a lot, but don't realize how much God leads us to water. We as parents don't drink.
It's a whole beautiful stream, and I'm over here.
I'm like, wow, God, it's beautiful. Why are we here?
I don't get it.
I'm really thirsty, but there's a bar over there. Could we just go get a burger and a drink? And he's like, I'm living water, man. Like, drink of the stream.
Drink it!
Chug.
That's what it feels like when my kids take a liquid vitamin.
Oh,
It's just like, there's some days where, usually one of them is, except for Luke. Luke is like, juice! But one of the older three, inevitably, is always like, oh, do I have to? I'm like, drink it! It's good for you.
You're the booming voice.
Yeah, that's me. You don't eat your vegetables. Gotta drink your veggies. There you go. Yeah.
We'll work on that. They ate their veggies tonight, okay?
They did.
They ate their veggies. They did a good job. But the point being is that you have to look, like, sometimes you can, surrendering your parenthood will in some ways simplify it. Because there are a lot of ways that we put extra burdens on ourselves, extra expectations that are not God's expectations. Okay?
Yeah.
And no one expects you to have a perfect kid. I think you would, on the contrary, find the majority of parents that you hang around are like, I know. I've seen a tantrum better, like, crazier than that today.
Mm-hmm.
Most people understand, and I think God gave us that really good community for that reason, because we need it. We need to know that we're not alone in this, and God is the perfect parent, and Jesus was the perfect child, so that part in Scripture is a little less relatable. Maybe we should go back to like the story of Joseph.
Yeah.
Because sounds like having 11 brothers was rough.
I was having a conversation, I think it was in a prayer session, with a gal, and she was talking about being a parent, and I said, well, just really lean into Mama Mary, and, she was the perfect mother, and she was like, yeah, but she had Jesus. Okay, you're not wrong. Of all of the toddlers, I imagine he was the easiest.
It's so true. But at the same time, and I mean this too, whether you're walking with your actual children in any stage, whether you're walking alongside your children now who are having their own children, whether you're walking with your grandkids, or whether you are a spiritual parent to your peers, to a class of teenagers, I don't know. There's so many options. Mm-hmm. You need to ask the Lord what He's teaching you in it and what you need to give to Him in your parenthood first, because we had this conversation the other day about how parenthood strips away your selfishness, and that will very much be the first thing that goes if you let it. And God will replace that with selflessness. But surrendering your parenthood is about becoming a model, a Christian model for your children, because they learn by watching and imitating and mimicking you more than they're going to learn from you barking at them that this is what you're supposed to be doing. So if you want them to help clean, you clean. If you want them to pick up their toys, pick them up with them and invite them to do things. If you want them to be excited about learning, learn yourself. It goes to show that your actions speak louder than your words, and helping them understand that mistakes happen and you can be kind to yourself about them. The Lord, maybe he's highlighting something right now, maybe he's not. But think about it. Take this to prayer. Our questions this week will reflect on that. Where am I parenting or guiding people through my wounds and not through God's eyes? Where is he calling me to be sanctified and to grow as a parent? And just taking that first step, because the first step of surrendering your parenthood is knowing that you aren't a perfect parent, and that's okay.
Yep.
You need his grace to fill the gaps and to fill your weakness.
Yeah. I just like to plug for Mama Mary and Saint Joseph.
100%.
Like, if you're struggling, call upon those two. Like,
they're great patron saints.
I feel like Saint Joseph gets overlooked a lot.
Probably because he's the strong, silent type.
Yeah,
I love
but
that
he's
t-shirt.
a powerhouse. Like, let's not I know Mary was chosen to be the mother of Jesus, but let's not forget that Joseph was chosen out of all men to be his foster father. Like,
that's a big
huge
deal. So lean into those heavenly friends. Be sure to just, again, practice being attentive to the Spirit, because it's going to help you to know that God chose you for these kids, spiritual or physical. You are exactly where you need to be, and that is enough. God is going to do the rest. So just take the first step. Transformation might be slow, but it will be worthwhile. So be sure to like this podcast, follow us, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and please like this, watch it, share it with your friends. We are using these episodes to kind of get a feel for which of these we should do more resources on, schedule, parenthood, whatever. And so the more you watch it and share it, the more you tell us that this is what I want to learn more about. Yeah. So help us out there. Follow us, like, 5-star review. All that helps us reach more people and help them learn how to surrender, as we are also learning to surrender. So, yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it.
Enjoy the testimony.
Yes. With that, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
This computer. I am very excited to welcome Amanda back to the podcast to share her testimony of surrendering parenthood. This is kind of like her passion. So I'm excited to let her take the floor here and share her testimony about how the Lord is just guiding her to surrender her parenthood over and over. So let's go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love talking with you guys, and just like you said, it's my passion and I just love to share. So when I was thinking about what to share in this particular conversation, I feel like what came up was just has been my battle with sleep. I literally, since my daughter was born, as a newborn, she would scream herself to sleep. So from that moment, it became a project that I needed to figure out and fix and get it just right, because I don't know if it's cultural pressure or whatever it is, but babies are supposed to wake up at these times and not for this long. Like, there's a structure and a mold that my baby was not fitting into. So how do I fit her into this mold? And it was bringing up terrible rage in me when it wouldn't work. Like, every single thing I would try, it's like, they're like, oh, make sure they have enough calories. It's like, I'm feeding my 4-month-old butter. Like, there's like everything that you can think of or name, I tried, and nothing worked. And so I was at the end of my wits, and I and what was even worse in the midst of all that is I'm just like praying and begging God to help her sleep. And every time I would pray that, her sleep would get worse. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I felt abandoned, and just like everything, and bitterness really erupted from my heart, and just resentment and just all these things, because I'm like, I just can't figure it out. Goes into that, tender space of being a mom where you just feel like you're failing, and you feel like you're failing them, and you just feel all the mom guilt, just everything. And not only that, but your whole identity changes. And so I'm like, and I can't even get this right. Um, and so I went as far as consulting I've been pretty determined not to sleep train, because I could not leave her to cry. Even though that's like probably would have worked, I couldn't do it. So I was like, what's the best way that I can support her but still do this? And so I found someone who specializes in integrative sleep, um, which is basically like, who is your baby? What do they need? And how do we meet that need? And talking to her through it all, she gave good suggestions on like how to reset her circadian rhythm and help produce melatonin and cortisol and things like that, which is honestly was just so simple. It was like, get her out in the sun at these times, and you let her watch the sun go down, very simple things. But she asked me one question that just like really rocked my world, which was essentially like, what if you didn't care? What if you just decided not to care? And I guess I just needed that permission. I don't know. Um, but I was like, okay. And in that moment, I really did just hand it over. And from that moment, I felt nothing but peace. I, which is so simple, right? But I really feel like, my baby, she needs to be rocked and sung to every time she falls asleep. Even when she'll wake at 20, 30 minutes, and I need to pick her up again and start the process all over again. And before that moment of surrender, like, that would frustrate me so much. And now I'm recognizing that I am her shelter, the way that the Lord is my shelter. And like, that is such a privilege. And it's not going to last forever. And even though in moments my back is breaking, I'm going to miss it so deeply. I mean, even now, there are times where she doesn't need that from me. And I have that thought, she doesn't need me anymore. It's so it's just such a crazy feeling. But anyways, so yeah, I would say from that moment, I've just felt peace. I delight in her so much deeper, and I just am back to really enjoying motherhood and rejoicing. And I feel like my relationship with the Lord has improved, because I was so just angry that he wasn't answering my prayer. And now I'm like, now the moments that I get my greatest revelation are when I'm rocking her to sleep. And, she's a babe who like will not sleep unless I'm with her. And that's when I get all my writing done. So it's been such a blessing to slow down versus like go back to that productivity, which is my normal story is surrender, but it's like just that other element of now I'm actually enjoying it rather than like coming from this space of like, oh, I have to do this because her sleep isn't figured out and obsessing over that. I'm just like, oh, I get an hour to lay in my bed and write about things I'm passionate about next to a babe who deeply desires to snuggle me. Like, could
Sounds
life
terrible.
be any better? I know. Could life be any better? And I still managed to get what I need to done. So, yeah, that has been my most recent freedom in parenthood. And even my husband recently was like so surprised. He had like come home from work after a rough day of sleep. He was like, I was honestly expecting you to be in a foul mood. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, you're handling this really well. I'm like, yeah, I stopped caring. And that's been the best for both of us. So, uh, yeah, that's my story.
Well, thank you for sharing. I love sometimes the most epic surrender stories are when God's like, shh, stop. I need you to just be here and I need you to be okay with that because I think that we are so not okay with that most of the time. So I think that's really powerful. And I think there's probably a lot of parents who need to hear that. So thank you for sharing your story about sleep.